Before I begin this story, let me warn you what you are about to hear may challenge your beliefs. These are not mere tales or myths, but real events collected from my own experiences. Whether you choose to believe them or not, that's entirely up to you. But remember, sometimes the truth is far stranger than fiction. If, as you listen, you start to feel a chill creeping down your spine, close your eyes. Block out the world around you. Focus only on my voice and let it take you into a realm of fear and mystery. Story 1. This is an incident from my life that forced me to delve into paranormal research. Life has always tested me. The divorce of my parents was the biggest blow of my life. One by one, everything fell apart, and in the middle of it all, I lost my self-confidence. After my parents' separation, they both created their new families, and I was left alone. Still, life offered me a new beginning when I got the opportunity to join a prestigious medical college in Boston. And I was overjoyed. With the hope of building a new life and making new friends, I decided to go to college. My parents weren't paying attention to me, but I hoped this college would give me a new life where I could do things my way. I told my parents about joining a medical college, but I never felt any positive reaction from them. They were busy with their new lives, and I was just waiting for the new life they had created for themselves. This was the moment when my new life was supposed to begin. When I first stepped into the college, it felt like I had reached the place of my dreams. The vast campus, the old buildings, the ancient atmosphere, everything seemed like a new experience. I thought my life would change here. Yes, from that day onwards, my life, my thoughts, and my beliefs were truly transformed. It was my dream college, but something that day felt different, something I couldn't quite understand. On the first day, I introduced myself to everyone and made some friends. But suddenly, my eyes were drawn to a bench. There, two mysterious boys were sitting. One of them was very serious, his eyes filled with deep anger and his face rough. But the boy sitting next to him, though strange, was calm, his eyes full of kindness and embarrassment. There was an eerie mystery about them that strangely attracted me. I felt there was something hidden between them. They never looked at me, but for some reason, I kept glancing at their bench. They were silent throughout the class, didn't ask any questions, didn't say anything to the teacher. After class, I tried to talk to them. When I said hello, the serious boy didn't respond, but the calm boy smiled faintly and said hello, then immediately got up and left. That's how my college life went. Even during exams, those two boys always performed well. One day, I was sitting in the library reading some books with a few friends. Suddenly, I saw those strange boys reading books. One of my friends got up and said, "Look at the attitude they have. They never talk to us. Think they're so brilliant. Let's go. We're not going to let them off today." Then my friend went to disturb the two mysterious boys. We followed, but my friend was a little too arrogant. Suddenly, when the calm boy among them picked up a book, my friend snatched it away, saying, "I was holding this. Give it to me. Do you think you're brilliant? I'm sure you two are cheating to get such good marks in exams." Before he could push the calm boy, the serious-faced boy grabbed my friend's hand. Despite being stronger, my friend couldn't break free from the serious boy's grasp. It was as if an invisible force had taken control of him. I stepped forward and said, "Enough, stop, both of you." I told the serious boy, "Let him go. If the teacher sees any trouble in the library, we'll all be thrown out." I took the book from my friend's hand and gave it to the calm boy. He smiled faintly. Later, my friend said, "This is not a human, it's something else." When he had grabbed my hand, I felt something hot gripping me, and he showed us that his hand had turned red. It felt as if it had been burned. He was seething with anger and said, "We have to take care of them." Later, I stopped him and said, "It's your fault. You went and created trouble. Now, you're having trouble accepting that you lost to that boy. It's wrong to do wrong," I added. "Let it go and forget about it." After that, we all went to class. This incident spread throughout the college. From then on, everyone started avoiding those mysterious boys. It seemed they were pleased by this. One day, the serious boy didn't show up. The calm boy was sitting alone on the bench. I thought this was my chance to learn more about them, as the serious boy never allowed the calm boy to talk to anyone. Somehow, I was drawn to their relationship, so I decided to take this opportunity. I walked into the classroom and sat right next to the calm boy. He looked at me somewhat uncomfortably. I said, "Hello," and he responded. I tried to talk to him in a friendly manner, but he avoided me. After class, my friend went again to pick a fight with the calm boy. I stepped in and stopped my friend. Later, when everyone left, the calm boy thanked me and said, "If you hadn't stopped him, today no one could have saved him." He smiled faintly. For a week, the serious boy didn't show up, and I tried to stay close to the calm boy. I asked him many questions about them, but he didn't say much. He only said, "We are cousins, and we came from a faraway place to study here. Our main goal is to study medicine properly. That's why we don't like partying or socializing much, and we speak very little." He also said he liked sweets a lot. I started bringing him sweets, and that's how our friendship grew. During this week, he spoke to me kindly, but I noticed he only spoke to me, and whenever my other friends came, he would leave. A week later, I saw the serious boy back in class. I naturally went to talk to the calm boy, but he avoided me again. This made me feel bad. I decided I wouldn't talk to them anymore. One day, I forgot my assignment paper. The deadline for submission was that day, and if I didn't submit it, I would lose marks. I was trying hard to get a scholarship, as my financial situation wasn't good. I went to the washroom, feeling down. Suddenly, the calm boy appeared and handed me my assignment paper, saying, "Go immediately to the teacher, submit your assignment." I was shocked, but without asking anything, I ran to submit the paper. Later, when I asked the calm boy how he had found my paper, he made an uncomfortable face, as if he was hiding something. The serious boy was glaring at him. Then the calm boy said, "You must have brought the papers. They must have fallen from your bag. I picked them up and brought them to you." I realized the calm boy had misled me with an excuse. I had clearly left my papers on the table. If he had run to get them, it would have taken much longer. This act was not possible for a normal person. I realized he had lied. They left. Later, I was walking alone on campus when I saw the serious boy scolding the calm boy. He said, "Why did you do that?" I quietly walked behind, and somehow the serious boy realized I was eavesdropping. He came to me, looking angrily, and said, "What do you want?" I replied, "I came to thank him for finding my papers." Then the serious boy left. The calm boy looked at me, and I thanked him. Then he looked at me with fearful eyes and said, "Don't tell anyone about this, please. Stay away from me. I don't want to harm you, but we can never be friends." I went to my room with a heavy heart, and I noticed my books and papers were scattered on my desk. I clearly remembered locking the windows. The room door was locked, to who opened it. I thought today's events were very strange, but I remained silent. A year passed this way. Somehow, I did well in exams, got the scholarship, and my financial problems were solved. One day, I had an argument with my troublesome friend. Everyone was saying bad things about me. I was sitting alone, feeling down, when a boy came up to me and said, "Someone give me this book and asked me to deliver it to you before I could ask anything." The calm boy said, "Don't take that book. There's drugs inside it. Your troublesome friend is trying to trap you." I was stunned. He said, "He envies you. He wants to harm you." I angrily went to confront my friend and asked why he did this to me. A heated argument started, and soon a fight broke out. He pushed me and I fell, injuring my leg badly at that moment. The calm boy, in a rage, threatened my friend, saying, "You've done something bad. You will pay the price for it. Get ready." Saying this, he took me to the hospital. When I regained consciousness, my uncle took me home. I spent a month in bed, unable to move. I didn't hear from anyone during that time. After recovering, I returned to college, only to find out that the two mysterious boys hadn't been to college for a month. My troublesome friend had gone mad, and his condition was bad. Later, I heard from the campus people that the friend who had attacked me was now admitted to the hospital. A few days after beating me, his behavior changed. He started acting crazy. He said he began seeing strange dreams, feeling that he could see black shadows. He was terrified. He said those shadows tormented him, slashing his body, and every night he would be tortured and beaten. By morning, there would be no trace of the beatings. At night, when he closed his eyes, the torment would begin again. He said he couldn't take it anymore, and that death would be easier than living with the torment. Just before this, the two mysterious boys had disappeared. One day, I went out to search for them. I got an address from the college and left to find them. But when I reached the address, I found out they had left long ago. I got another address, but I could never find peace searching for them. Later, while driving towards that address, I met with an accident. I saw a huge tree fall on my car. I lost consciousness, but when I regained my senses, everything seemed fine. I was stunned. What happened to me? One night, I dream of the calm boy who said, "Don't search for us. We are not ordinary people. If you do, it will harm you. I considered you a friend, so I don't want you to get hurt." I woke up immediately, drenched in sweat. There was an eerie stillness around me, as if the world had frozen, and in that silence, their powerful presence lingered. Now I know I will never search for them again. They were not from this world. They were that strange dark force that entered my life, with no proof but an undeniable presence everywhere. I know what I saw was no coincidence. This was all planned, with deep mysteries that I will never know. From that day, I stopped looking for them, but I still feel them. And so, this story will never truly end. Some mysteries will remain unresolved, and their presence will stay with me forever, like an unspoken terror. Story 2. Before starting my story, let me briefly introduce myself. I am a psychiatrist with many patients, some of whom struggle with mental distress, while others are victims of paranormal phenomena, living in constant fear. Although I am a psychiatrist, I believe there is more to this world than what meets the eye. Certain entities can disrupt people's lives, making them abnormal. Most people don't believe in such things, but the fear never truly leaves. I helped these individuals regain normalcy in their lives, freeing them from fear. Now, the story I'm about to share is one I heard from a patient of mine who has been living with fear and suffering. I am telling it the way he described it to me. Just like him. The incident took place in an antique shop, but what happened was something we could never have imagined. My wife and I loved collecting antique items, especially old, mysterious ones. We had just gotten married, and we planned our honeymoon in a quiet town in Scotland. The town's dark alleys and old shops seemed to have frozen time. One day, when we entered an old antique shop, while browsing around, we saw that some people had placed a large silver mirror there. While browsing around the shop, we saw that some people had placed a large silver mirror there. The craftsmanship on the mirror was beautiful, and we really liked it. The beauty of the mirror attracted both of us so much that, as soon as we saw it, we decided we must buy it. The beauty of the mirror was extraordinary. Its engravings were oddly mesmerizing, as if it had been touched by some invisible force. Later, I went to the shopkeeper and asked for the price. The shopkeeper said, "This shop belongs to my wife. She's out for some work. Please wait until she returns. I can't sell it until she arrives." We were feeling a kind of stillness around the shop. Hour after hour passed, and time seemed to stand still. My restlessness was growing, and it felt like the mirror was meant for us. I said to the shopkeeper again, "I'll pay double the price. Just give me the mirror now." The shopkeeper paused for a while, and then, as if influenced by some invisible power, he decided and handed the mirror to us. My wife was absolutely delighted. I love her very much, so seeing her happy made me happy too. However, it felt as if the mirror had been destined for us. We hurried back to the hotel and started packing quickly because our flight was in the morning. We set off towards our house, but after reaching our destination, we could never have imagined the horrific events that were about to unfold. We had 2 cats, and they were usually very calm. But suddenly, after seeing the mirror, both my cats started screaming in fear, as if they were trying to warn us. There was a look of intense terror in their eyes, and we were quite surprised to see this, but still, we didn't pay much attention. We moved the cats away and placed the mirror in our bedroom, right in front of the window, hoping the sunlight would shine through the mirror and light up the whole room. But something wasn't right. When we placed the mirror in front of the window, it started getting unusually hot. It was so hot, it felt as if something alive was inside the mirror. When I tried to touch it, I couldn't even get close to it. I told my wife it would be better to move this. The sunlight is shining on it. That's why it feels so unusual. My wife placed the mirror in front of our bed. Sitting by the bed, we could clearly see our reflections in the mirror. But that's when strange feelings began to arise. It all started with small incidents, like our lights suddenly going out repeatedly for no reason. At night, suddenly, water started flowing from the bathroom tap. Although it seemed strange, we thought it was just a mistake in our minds. But one day, a horrifying sight appeared before us. We found the bodies of our 2 cats, half cut. It seemed as if someone had torn their heads off. Hearing my wife cry, I felt something terrible was about to happen. I couldn't bear it any longer. So, I decided to take her out for dinner. I booked her favorite restaurant. She loved the scent of spider lily, and she always said the fragrance of these flowers enchanted her. But finding these flowers was very rare, so I had to go through a lot of trouble to find them as a gift for her. When she saw them, her mood lifted, but a clear look of worry appeared on her face. After dinner, I tried to comfort her, saying, "Don't worry, I'll give you more cats." She looked at me and said, "No, not for this. But for some reason, I feel like something bad is going to happen." I told her, "Don't worry, I'll always be by your side." She rested her head on my shoulder. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, I received a call, and I hear that my wife's mother was sick. Her father told her, "Your mother is sick. She's in the hospital and wants to see you." Later, when my wife decided to go to her family, I told her I would go with her. She said, "You've already taken so much time off for the honeymoon. It will cause problems with your work. I can go alone, don't worry." After dropping her off at the airport in the morning, I felt heavy-hearted and went to the office. When I got home, I felt terrible. It was very hard being without her. I ate a little, turned off the lights in the room, and went to bed. Suddenly, I saw a blurry red shape, as if someone was staring at me. My sleep was broken, and my body was drenched in sweat. The clock read 3:13 a.m. Then, thinking about my wife, I fell asleep again. The next day was Sunday, and the office was closed. I thought to myself, let's cook something today. But I felt very hot, so I checked the temperature, and everything seemed fine, but I still felt hot. So, I turned off the heater and started cooking. In the evening, I realized the room temperature had dropped, and even with the heater on, it still felt cold. I couldn't understand what was happening. I tried to contact my wife, but there was no network on my phone, which seemed strange. I thought maybe it was a technical issue. Then, I sat in the TV room and watched TV. Suddenly, I heard some strange noises besides the TV sound. At first, I thought it was in my mind, but then I heard the same noise again. I immediately turned off the TV, but the noise didn't stop. It was coming from the room. Slowly, I went to my room with a terrible feeling. When I entered the room, I saw nothing, but suddenly, the lights in the room went out. I tried to turn on the flashlight on my phone, but fear had completely taken over me. After much effort, I managed to turn on the flashlight. That's when I heard the noise again, but I couldn't understand what was happening. Then, I realized the strange sound was coming from behind me. I turned around and saw the figures of a man and a woman in the mirror, their faces burned and bloody. They were smiling at me, as if mocking my fear, speaking in some strange language. I couldn't even move because of fear. Suddenly, I saw their hands come out of the mirror and grip my throat. My breath was stopping, and I felt like I was going to die that day. In fear, I lost consciousness. What do you think? Was that the end? No, the story was only just beginning. After I opened my eyes and saw my wife's face, her eyes were bloodshot, probably from crying a lot. She said to me, "What happened to you? You've been unconscious for 2 days. I called you many times, but you didn't answer. I then called your friend to check on you, and he found you lying on the floor. Tell me, what happened?" I told them everything. After that, my wife placed the mirror in the storeroom and hugged me tightly, saying, "I'm not going anywhere. I won't leave you." At that moment, I felt like a huge weight had been lifted from my chest. By evening, everyone had gone home. My wife began taking care of me, cooking my favorite food. But an odd curse seemed to settle over our love. That night, I began acting strangely. My wife asked me, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?" After much struggle, I tried to sleep, but the sleep was so long and restless, as if my own soul was trapped inside my body, and those two demons had taken control, turning me into their puppet. The rest of the events I only heard from others because I don't remember anything about what happened after that. At night, my wife woke up to find me standing in front of the mirror again. She looked at the clock. It was 3:13 a.m. In a terrified voice, she asked, "What are you doing? Why are you standing here?" I was staring at the mirror, feeling as though the mirror had trapped me with some strange force. I was under the demon's control, and they were using my body to try to kill my wife. I gripped her throat. I was speaking in another language, but my wife just watched me in fear. In her panic, she became desperate when she saw I was trying to hurt her. She shoved me away and ran to another room, locking herself inside. I chased after her, trying to hurt her with a sharp knife. My wife called my friend and told him everything, asking him to come to the house. By the time my friends arrived, it was morning. They found me unconscious in front of my wife's room, holding the knife. My wife was crying, and her friends said, "This is not something your husband would do. I sense an evil presence here." Later, my wife's friend told us that she knew a priest who could solve paranormal problems. When the priest arrived at our house, he said, "There is an evil presence here." After looking at my wife, the priest said, "Bind his hands and feet." Then he sprinkled holy water on me, but the demon tried to attack him. The priest became scared and started reading the Bible, but it had no effect. Finally, the priest said, "An exorcism must be done, and it must be tonight." The exorcism began, and the demon choked the priest and spoke in another language. Then, my demon left my body. I lost consciousness. The priest was terrified. He said, "This is a terrifying demon. It's the work of a Turkish jinn." The demon was threatening me in Turkish. The demon said, "In 6 days, I will take this man's soul. Anyone who tries to stop me, I will kill." The priest said, "I can no longer help." My wife cried and begged for help. But the priest said, "Only the senior priest of the church can help with this. But he is not here, and by the time he arrives, the demon may kill your husband. Now, God is your only hope. Call out to God." The priest left, and my wife, in desperation, became determined to save me. A fierce resolve grew within her. She said, "I'll do anything, even give my life, to save you. Please don't leave me." There's a saying, when you truly desire something, the whole universe helps you. My phone had been ringing all morning, but my wife hesitated to pick it up. Eventually, she answered the phone. On the other end was the woman from the antique shop where I had bought the mirror. She said, "I've been trying to reach you for days, but your phone was off. I've been trying to contact you because I want to meet you. If you don't return the mirror now, you may be in danger." That's when my wife realized that everything had happened because of the mirror. She explained everything to the woman. The woman said, "Disaster. Give me your address right now. We need to stop this before the mirror finishes everything." My wife gave her our home address and made arrangements for the woman to fly over to our house. A few days later, the woman arrived at our home. She had curly hair, a golden necklace around her neck, and a large green stone bracelet on her hand that gleamed strangely, as if it were a symbol of some ancient power. My wife explained everything to her. Then, the woman gradually revealed everything. If you had waited before buying the mirror that day, none of this would have happened. If I had been there, I would never have sold that mirror. It wasn't meant to be sold. My husband didn't know either. The mirror was given to me by my grandmother before she passed away. My job was to keep the jinn trapped in the mirror. There was a sacred holy crimson veil on the mirror. Removing it has caused all this trouble. My grandmother had trapped 2 powerful jinns inside the mirror. My grandmother used to help people with paranormal issues. I learned this from her. Now, if we can trap the jinns back in the mirror, your problems will be solved. My wife's eyes were filled with a strange mix of fear and hope. She said, "Use the holy crimson veil and trap the demon now. Save my husband." The woman took a deep breath and said, "It's not possible right now, because the demon has already taken control of your husband's body. First, we need to remove the demon from his body, but it's a difficult task. It's a risky process." My wife pleaded with her desperately. The woman said, "Don't worry, I will try. But first, we need to know what the jinn wants and what we can do to make it leave your husband. Once we know that, the task will be easier." That night, the woman called out to the jinns inside me. The jinns spoke, "You have such courage to call me. Did you think you could trap us in the mirror like your grandmother did? You cannot, and we won't allow it now. I will take the soul of either this man or his wife in 3 days. We cannot bear their love anymore." Then the jinn, speaking through my body, turned to my wife and said, "Who will die? You or your husband? Show me proof of your love for him." It began laughing. My wife's eyes were filled with a terrifying mixture of fear and sorrow. She begged the demon, "Please, let my husband go." The demon responded, "No, I won't." Laughing, the demon left my body. Now, the woman from the antique shop said, "Let me see if I can find another way. There are still 3 days before the demon can do anything." 2 days later, the woman came to the house and said, "I've found a way, but I'm not sure if it will work." She told my wife, "For this to work, you must have faith, and it's your love for your husband that will bring him back. Your task is to awaken your husband's soul within his body, and only you can do this. When you awaken his soul, I will place the sacred holy crimson veil on the mirror. At that moment, the demon will lose its direction and enter these 2 black goats. I will then slaughter the goats, and with that, the demon will be banished forever. This ritual must be performed tonight, because tonight is the last night." At 3:13 a.m., the ritual began. An ominous atmosphere filled the room, as if the room was sinking into darkness. I was tightly bound, and a large mirror was placed in front of me. The special process began. The woman said, "When I keep the jinn occupied with my words, only then will you be able to awaken your husband's soul. So, you must overcome your fear tonight." The woman took a deep breath and began calling out to the jinns. "Look, I've brought goats for you. I know you like fresh blood," she said. In an instant, the demon returned to my body. My wife's eyes were a strange mixture of fear and courage. She grabbed my hand, trying to wake me up. My wife immediately grabbed my hand and tried to wake me up. She said, "You must get this demon out of your body. You have to fight this battle, because, without you, my life is worthless." She began talking about our beautiful moments together, and slowly, the positive energy from her heart started to awaken my soul. Suddenly, the terrible screams of the goats began. The woman said, "It's done. We need to slaughter the goats quickly." She then approached with a knife to slaughter the goats, but before she could do anything, she was thrown back far away. Blood began pouring from the woman's nose. Then, the demon entered my body again, laughing. It turned to the woman and said, "You think you can kill me? Did you think we were ordinary demons? Look at the protective charm you were holding. Where is it now?" The woman saw that the protective charm her grandmother had given her was no longer there. She now realized that the demon was able to attack her because of this. "Now, you can see your husband for the last time," the demon said, as it turned toward my wife. She begged, "Let my husband go." In return, I will give you whatever you want." The demon laughed and said, "I told you before, I want one of your souls. If we don't get a soul, we won't leave." Wiping away her tears, my wife said, "You want a soul? Fine, I give you mine. Now, let my husband go." The demon let out a loud, earth-shattering laugh and said, "Fool, this is exactly what we wanted." That day, both of you removed the sacred red cloth together. So, if one of you doesn't willingly give us your soul in 6 days, we would have had to return to the mirror. We were just playing with you. I've let your husband go, but I will take your soul, and with that, we will be fully freed. As soon as these words were spoken, my body collapsed to the ground, and the demon entered my wife's body. Instantly, she grabbed the knife from the table. Just then, the woman from the antique shop screamed and tried to stop my wife. But before she could do anything, my wife slit her own throat with the knife, and thus they freed themselves from the demon. It was an unbelievable incident on a dark night, when everything ended with my wife's sacrifice. Through her crying, the demon was freed, but the consequences of its torment left me empty. She ended her life, taking the end of our love and leaving all the light of my life behind. I was alive, but inside there was nothing, just a deep emptiness, a mark of death. The demon was gone, but because of my wife's sacrifice, the fact that I was still alive felt like no joy. Was I so weak that after losing her, I was left to dwell in death? I would never get back my old life, because the most precious thing in my life, my wife's love, I had lost. Story 3. I heard this story from one of my patients, whose name was Marco. He was about 18 or 19 years old. After joining college, strange events began to unfold in his life. From the very first day of college, he was busy adjusting to the new environment, making friendships with roommates, getting to know new people, and trying to learn the different rules and norms of the college were his primary goals. However, within the college, his attention was drawn to a few seniors who had created a unique style for themselves. They seemed to know something that others didn't. They were the cool group, and there was a mysterious aura about them. Marco knew that if he could form a connection with these seniors, he could achieve a better position in college. One day, while walking around the college campus, some seniors called Marco over and said, "Do you want to join our club? It's exclusive, and you'll fit right in here." Marco was a little confused, but he soon realized that this was his best chance. New friends, a new environment, his life was about to begin something new. So, he agreed. After Marco joined the club, his life began to change in strange ways. At first, everything seemed normal. They offered him parties, alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. And although Marco was a little hesitant, he started spending time with them. But soon, he realized that some of the members of this club were involved in activities far deeper and more sinister than just having fun. Through their conversations, Marco learned that this club's members were involved in black magic and necromancy one evening. As Marco sat in the common room of the dormitory, a few of the seniors approached him. They invited him to a secret meeting that night. "There's something we need to show you, Marco," they said. "This is part of our tradition, something that will bond you to the club forever." At first, Marco hesitated. The idea of rituals and occult practices made him uncomfortable, but his desire to fit in, to be part of something greater, made him feel like this was a test he couldn't refuse. "It's just a ritual," he thought. "What harm could it do?" That night, Marco followed them to a secluded part of the campus. The area was eerily quiet. the moon casting long shadows on the ground. The door they led him to was hidden behind a thick curtain of ivy. As they entered, Marco was greeted by the other members, who were already gathered around an old wooden table. The room was dimly lit, with candles flickering in every corner, casting strange shadows. "Tonight, you'll become one of us," one of the members said with a dark smile. "But first, you must prove your worth. You must accept the darkness that will join you." Marco felt a chill run down his spine as the ritual began. The room seemed to pulse with a strange energy. The air felt thick, almost suffocating. He could hear chanting in an ancient language, the words unknown to him but strangely familiar. His heart raced, and every instinct in his body screamed to leave, but his legs wouldn't move. The fear was overwhelming, but it was mixed with something else, something almost intoxicating. Then, as the chanting reached its crescendo, a shadow moved across the room. Marco's breath caught in his throat as a cold presence filled the space. The room seemed to shift, the walls closing in. It felt as though the very air was being sucked out of him. The dark figure appeared, towering and formless at first, its presence making the room feel impossibly small. It was as if the very essence of fear had materialized before him. He could hear a deep voice in his mind, whispering words he couldn't understand. The demon, or whatever it was, seemed to reach out to him, its cold touch brushing against his skin. Marco wanted to scream, to run, but his body was frozen. The others in the room stood motionless, as though this presence was a normal part of their lives. He realized with horror that this wasn't just a ritual, it was an invitation into a world far darker than he had imagined. The ritual ended, and Marco left the room in a daze, his body trembling with fear. He could feel the presence of the entity lingering behind him, following him back to his dorm. That night, as he lay in bed, he heard whispers in the shadows, voices he couldn't understand. The air around him seemed to grow colder, the room darker, as if the walls themselves were closing in on him. Days passed, but the feeling didn't go away. Marco began to see things, shadows moving at the edge of his vision, whispers in the night that made his heart race. It wasn't just the fear of the unknown, it was something worse. He could feel the presence of the demon, always there, lurking just beyond his reach. The fear began to consume him. He tried to tell himself it was all in his mind, that he had overreacted, but deep down, he knew that something dark had taken root inside him. Something that wouldn't let go. One night, Marco decided to approach one of the club members, desperate for answers. "What's happening to me?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I feel it. The darkness. It's inside me." The member looked at him with cold, calculating eyes. "You're marked now, Marco. You can't escape it. The demon is part of you. You've been chosen." Marco's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "The ritual was only the beginning," the member said, stepping closer. "You're bound to it now. You can't run. There's no escaping the power we've shared." The days that followed were a blur of terror. Marco could feel the demon's influence growing stronger. The whispers became louder, the shadows darker. He couldn't escape it, no matter how hard he tried. He began seeing things that weren't there, shadows in the corners of his room, figures moving in the dark, eyes watching him from the darkened hallways. One night, as Marco sat alone in his dorm, trying to calm his racing thoughts, he felt a cold hand rest on his shoulder. He turned, expecting to see one of his roommates, but the room was empty. Panic set in. His mind was playing tricks on him, he thought, But deep down, he knew it wasn't just his imagination. He couldn't bear it anymore. He had to get out. He needed to escape the hold this club, this ritual, had on him. In a moment of desperation, Marco went to the police. Trembling with fear, he revealed everything: the rituals, the demon, the club's dark practices. He told them how he had been lured into their grip, how they had used him and others as pawns in their dark games. The police were initially skeptical, but Marco's terrified state convinced them that he wasn't lying. An investigation was launched, and soon the dark activities of the club were exposed. The police arrested several members, but many of the leaders managed to flee, disappearing into the shadows from which they had come. Marco felt a small sense of relief. The truth was out, and the club's grip on him was finally being broken. But even as the police worked to dismantle the organization, Marco couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness would never leave him, even though the club was shut down. Marco's life was far from normal. The demon's influence still lingered in the back of his mind. He could feel it every time he closed his eyes, every time he walked alone at night. It was as if the shadows themselves were alive, watching him, waiting for him to slip up, to fall back into the darkness. One day, a police officer asked Marco, "Do you feel free now? Do you feel like it's over?" Marco paused, his gaze distant. "It's never really over," he said quietly. "The fear stays with you. The shadows, they never truly go away." And with that, Marco knew that no matter how much time passed, he would never be completely free. The dark power he had once been part of would always haunt him, lurking in the shadows, waiting for him to return.